The message came at exactly 23:47 ship time, 3 glowing words hovering in the air above his communicator. Come alone. Important. Ryan blinked at the message, half tempted to ignore it like the last 7 invitations from the Velthari princess. The last important meeting had turned out to be a 2-hour debate about whether human eyebrows were a form of sexual signaling. But this one was different. The ship corridors were dim, her quarters sealed, and the ship's ambient AI whispered. She requested privacy, extreme privacy. That part was new. He almost turned back. But curiosity, that fatal human flaw, pulled him forward. The door slid open with a sigh. Inside, Lyra stood surrounded by soft blue light, her crystalline skin glimmering like glass kissed by moonlight. Her eyes, 2 molten rings of silver, tracked him silently before she spoke in a voice that was smooth, deliberate, and far too calm for his comfort. Human, will you stay if I undress? He froze. The room's temperature didn't change, yet sweat decided it was time to appear. His first instinct was to laugh, the second was to run, and the third, somewhere in the back of his brain, was to make sure he hadn't misheard. I'm sorry, he managed, trying to find a tone that didn't sound like either panic or interest. Did you say undress? She tilted her head, the gesture too precise to be natural. Yes, it is required for transparency. Ryan's mouth worked faster than his common sense. Right, transparency. Diplomatic metaphor, I get it. Her brow ridge lifted. No metaphor, literal. I must remove my outer layer. That was when the ceiling light dimmed and he realized this might not be a prank. He glanced toward the door, half expecting her guards or the ship's AI to intervene. Instead, silence hummed between them, a silence that seemed to dare him to move. He swallowed hard. Look, maybe you should explain before you start taking, things off. She stepped closer, each motion too graceful to be comforting. Human males exhibit fear at moments of intimacy, she observed, not unkindly, as if dissecting a lab rat. But your pulse indicates anticipation. That's because you're measuring it, he blurted. Anyone would get nervous if a glowing alien woman started. He stopped himself. Started conducting experiments. Lyra blinked, her bioluminescent patterns shifting across her skin like embarrassed blush. It is not an experiment. Among my kind, undressing signifies the start of truthful exchange. You humans value honesty, do you not? I do, he said quickly. But we usually start with words, not wardrobe changes. The AI flickered to life on the wall, projecting a soft holographic prompt. Velthari ritual of unveiling, translation active. He groaned inwardly. Of course she'd schedule this as an official session. She wasn't flirting, well, not entirely. She was conducting cultural diplomacy, except she was doing it like a goddess auditioning for chaos. Lyra watched him carefully. You are free to leave, human, but if you do, it will mean you reject my offer of trust. The sentence hit him like a diplomatic grenade. Rejecting her would mean insulting her royal house, and possibly sabotaging the entire exchange program Earth had fought years to earn. But staying might end with him in an interspecies HR report titled, Ambassador Removed During Ritual Misunderstanding. Define undress, he said slowly. Remove defensive casing, she replied. Expose the core layer to the other. It allows emotional alignment, and does the core layer look indecent by human standards? She frowned. Indecent? You mean biological display meant to elicit reproductive attention? He winced. Let's just say yes. She considered this seriously. Possibly. Some humans have fainted when observing Velthari in full light. Others reacted differently. Differently how? He asked before realizing he didn't want the answer. Her lips curved. Not a smile, but something that hinted she enjoyed his discomfort. Increased respiration, tremors, sometimes verbal loss. He exhaled through his teeth. So basically you want to strip while I try not to pass out or say anything stupid? Yes, she said simply, as though stating a scientific fact. It is how friendship begins. He stared at her, at the soft glow tracing her collarbone, at the quiet confidence in her tone. There was nothing predatory in her posture, but there was something deeply intimate, too intimate for a man who still struggled to make eye contact during handshakes. He forced himself to laugh, trying to diffuse the tension. You know, on Earth we usually just grab coffee. Coffee, she repeated, puzzled. You wish to exchange fluids first? He choked. No. It's a drink. Caffeine. Social lubricant. No, not like that. I mean, it helps people relax. Her eyes brightened. So, it assists reproduction? He buried his face in his hands. We really need to fix your translator. The moment stretched. She took another step closer, her voice softening. You are trembling. Does the idea of seeing me unveiled disturb you so? He looked up, meeting her gaze. Disturb isn't the word. Confused, maybe? You have to understand where I come from. This would mean something else entirely. Her fingers brushed the edge of a glowing panel on her shoulder. Then tell me what it means so I may not offend. It means... He hesitated. The way she was watching him, steady, curious, utterly sincere, it stripped away his sarcasm. It means trust, yes, but also intimacy, vulnerability, and depending on who you're talking to, love. Her glow flickered, almost like a heartbeat. Love, she echoed quietly. We do not have a word for that. Perhaps this ritual will teach me. He felt the words land deep in the silence. For the first time, she didn't sound like a scientist or a princess. She sounded like someone reaching for something beyond translation. She pressed her palm to her chest. The armor began to shimmer, loosening with a crystalline sigh. Then human. Will you stay? Ryan's throat was dry. Logic screamed run, but curiosity whispered stay. He didn't know if it was diplomacy, insanity, or something dangerously close to attraction. But he nodded once. Yeah, he said quietly. I'll stay. The corner of her lips curved, almost human. The lights dimmed further, and the first sliver of her true form gleamed beneath the dissolving armor. For one suspended heartbeat, he forgot to breathe. Then, without warning, the ship's AI chimed cheerfully. Human consent detected. Ritual proceeding, Ryan groaned. Oh, for the love of... Lyra looked at him, eyes shining with mischief now. Too late to withdraw, human. The ritual has begun. And that was when he realized just how much trouble he was in. The hum of the chamber deepened until Ryan felt it in his ribs, a slow rhythmic vibration that could have been the ship's core, or his own pulse trying to escape. The shimmering panels on Lyra's body continued to unlatch one by one, sliding away in silent sheets of light that floated briefly before dissolving. He forced his eyes anywhere else, ceiling, floor, even the blinking AI light, but curiosity was a merciless creature. Each glance brought another surprise. Beneath the armor wasn't skin as he knew it, but a translucent layer alive with faint pulses of color, patterns moving like emotion made visible. He had once read a diplomatic brief calling it luminal tissue. In practice, it looked like a living sunset wrapped around a person. He cleared his throat. You sure this is safe? You're not going to, melt? She tilted her head with that same unnervingly precise motion. Your concern is charming, but the process is natural. My people undress to breathe more honestly. Humans just talk, he muttered. Yet you often lie while talking, she countered gently, taking another step forward. The temperature of the air seemed to shift, or maybe it was his imagination playing along. Perhaps this way is more effective. He had to say something, anything, to diffuse the tension. So when you said undress, you really meant, wait, how far does this go? All the way, she said. He made the mistake of looking at her when she said it. No smirk, no irony, just calm certainty. The translator chip delivered the words with the exact cadence of a proposition. His brain filled in all the wrong contexts at once. He tried to respond diplomatically. Right, completely honest, good, we love honesty. Big fans. Lyra studied him like she could read the twitch in his jaw. You are flustered again. I note increased body temperature. Humans secrete moisture when overwhelmed. Perspiration, he corrected quickly. Not moisture. And could we not describe it like that? Noted. She paused. You are leaking, human. He pinched the bridge of his nose. You're doing this on purpose. I am gathering data. Well, gather slower. She laughed, a crystalline sound that echoed off the walls and somehow made the whole situation worse. I admire your restraint. Most humans would already be attempting physical contact. I'm a professional, he said through clenched teeth. Ah, then you may assist me in removing the back plates. I cannot reach them. He nearly bit his tongue. Assist you in? No, absolutely not. Her expression turned curious again. In your culture, helping another remove outer layers is forbidden. It's not forbidden, he said, trying to remember how to breathe. It's just complicated. Because of reproduction taboos? Because of everything, he said. She moved closer until he could see faint constellations of light drifting beneath her surface. The translator clicked softly as it struggled to keep up. If it comforts you, human, our species reproduces through spore exchange, not... Please don't finish that sentence. She blinked. Your emotional field spikes again. Because you keep saying things that sound like invitations. Perhaps you hear what you wish to hear. That line hung between them longer than it should have. He laughed nervously, rubbing the back of his neck. You really have no idea what you're doing to me right now, do you? I have several ideas, she said, utterly serious. The AI, ever helpful, chimed in. Mutual heart rate elevation detected. Initiating bonding protocol phase 2? No, they both shouted, but the system was faster. The room's lighting shifted to a low, warm gold that could only be described as romantic mood lighting. Somewhere in the ship's core, a melody began to play. A slow, ambient rhythm that might have been composed by someone who'd watched too many Earth date shows. Ryan pointed upward. Tell me that's not music. Lyra looked around, genuinely confused. It is ceremonial resonance. Is it offensive? It's Barry White, Lyra. I do not know this Barry. Does he represent fertility? He sighed. In some circles. She smiled again, and this time there was something new in it. Amusement mixed with awareness. Your people truly ritualize everything, says the woman undressing for diplomacy. She regarded him for a long moment, then extended one glowing hand. Then undress with me, human. Share the truth equally. He swallowed hard. That's not going to happen. Then the alignment will remain incomplete. He tried to focus on reason, on treaties and politics and everything that wasn't the way her light shimmered across his reflection, in the polished floor. Look, if I hypothetically helped, it would be purely procedural. Of course, she said smoothly. Procedure requires precision. There was no safe exit. He took a deep breath and reached toward the edge of one crystalline plate, careful not to touch anything that looked remotely alive. The surface was warm, not hot but humming faintly, like the energy of a distant storm. When the latch released, a faint sigh escaped her throat. His hand jerked back instinctively. Did I hurt you? No, she murmured. It tickled. Great. Fantastic. Love that for both of us. You tremble again. You keep noticing. I am trained to. He met her gaze. And do you always make your subjects this nervous? Only when I wish them to stay. That stopped him cold. There was no translation error this time. No accidental idiom. Just clear intent cloaked in diplomacy. She turned slightly, light cascading down her back where the last of the plates dissolved into dust. There, truth revealed. He wanted to applaud, to say something intelligent, but words failed under the weight of what he saw. Not erotic exactly, but breathtaking. Like standing too close to a star and knowing it might burn you and still refusing to step away. Lyra seemed unaware of his inner crisis. Now we speak honestly. Right, honestly. His voice cracked halfway through. What do you want to know? Why you stayed. He blinked. Because leaving felt worse. Explain, because... You asked me to. He shrugged helplessly. Because I didn't want to insult you. Because maybe I wanted to understand you. She studied him, her glow softening until the room felt smaller, warmer. Then perhaps you already do. The AI interrupted again, oblivious to the gravity in the air. Cross-species empathy threshold reached. Recommend proceeding to tactile confirmation. Ryan groaned. I'm going to delete that program. Lyra's lips curved faintly. Perhaps later. For now, let it play. He opened his mouth to protest, but the golden light brightened around them, the hum of the ship fading to a slow heartbeat rhythm that wasn't entirely mechanical. He realized then that whatever this was, experiment, ritual, misunderstanding, it was also the first moment either of them had stopped pretending, and that realization, more than the glowing skin or mistranslated innuendo, was what made his pulse quicken. By the time the chamber light steadied again, Ryan had convinced himself he could handle anything except further surprises. The ship naturally disagreed. The door that had sealed itself at the start of the ritual chose that exact moment to slide open, and two Velthari attendants stared in, their glass-bright eyes widening at the sight of their half-unarmored princess standing inches from a sweating human. They vanished a heartbeat later, doors clanging shut, but the damage was done. The ship's AI spoke in its polite, emotionless tone. Public witnesses detected. Logging event as treaty initiation. Ryan spun toward Lyra. Treaty initiation? What treaty? The Interfederate Accord of Mutual Integration. she said matter-of-factly, adjusting a glowing strand along her shoulder. When a Velthari and an off-world representative perform unveiling before witnesses, it signifies intent to unite cultures. In plain English, he said slowly, we just got engaged. She blinked. Engaged in what? Marriage, Lyra? Binding, permanent. The big cosmic us. Understanding dawned gradually across her luminous face, followed by something disturbingly like amusement. Humans equate public honesty with mating bonds? Fascinating. Not fascinating, he groaned. Career ending. The AI chimed again. Congratulations. Diplomatic union pending approval from command. He covered his face. Command's going to kill me. Lyra tilted her head. Why? You have shown extraordinary bravery. I showed up to a meeting, he muttered. Now half your species thinks I proposed. Would that be undesirable? Her tone was too calm. He peeked between his fingers. You're enjoying this. I am observing emotional variance. You're laughing at me. She managed to keep her mouth almost straight. A little. He gave up arguing and started pacing, words tumbling faster than sense. Okay, think. Damage control. We tell them it's a misunderstanding, strictly cultural. Lyra followed his movement with cat-like patience. They will not believe that. The ship recorded physiological synchronization between us. He stopped. It recorded what? Your heart rhythm matched mine for 42 seconds. That's not proof of anything. To my people it is. He looked around for hidden cameras. Unbelievable. First contact turns into a wedding special. She folded her now bare arms, light rippling faintly with each movement. You could annul the bond by rejecting me publicly. He froze again. Reject you? In front of everyone? Yes, you must declare I am unworthy. He pictured himself announcing that to a room full of crystal-skinned warriors who worshipped her like a demigod. Yeah, that's suicide. Then you must complete the ritual. Of course, he said dryly. Those are always the options, humiliation or death. Her glow dimmed a little. It is not death, only union. He heard something under the joke that softened him. Hey, I didn't mean, look, this isn't your fault. Our worlds just run on different scripts. Scripts can be rewritten, she said quietly. You stayed once. You could stay again. There it was, that flicker of sincerity that short-circuited his sarcasm. Before he could answer, the AI interrupted yet again. Royal Council requesting live visual confirmation of bonding pair. Lyra sighed. They are impatient. No kidding. He straightened his jacket, trying to look like less of an accidental groom. Fine. Let's give them a show, then we explain. The air shimmered as a holographic window bloomed before them, revealing a semicircle of elder Velthari, all shining in formal hues. Ryan felt their collective gaze like heat. Lyra raised her hand in greeting. Honored Council, the human has consented to unveiling. The elders murmured approval. Ryan lifted a hand halfway, smile glued in place. Hi, big misunderstanding here. Totally professional exercise, one elder leaned forward. The bond is evident. The colors intertwine. Ryan looked down. The ambient light really did swirl from gold to silver, blending between them like shared breath. That's just lighting, he said weakly. It is fate, another elder intoned. Lyra's lips twitched. So they believe. Then maybe tell them we're not. She cut him off with a serene gesture. It would insult them. Let the moment breathe, he hissed. You're making this worse. Perhaps better, she murmured. Observe. The elders began reciting formal blessings. Somewhere amid the chant, Ryan's translator garbled a phrase into, May your spores intertwine eternally. He swallowed a laugh that came out as a cough. Lyra's shoulders shook faintly. Apparently even royalty found that wording funny. When the hologram finally faded, she turned back to him, half smiling. See no bloodshed yet, he said. Now Earth's going to want a report. How I accidentally got space married. Her amusement softened again. You could leave. No one would stop you. He studied her. This impossible, luminous being whose rituals made him dizzy, and whose honesty felt more human than half the diplomats he knew. And you'd let me? She nodded once. Duty requires it. He took a step closer. And what if I don't want to leave? The pause stretched until even the ship seemed to hold its breath. Then, she said slowly, you will have to mean what you say next. His voice came out low. And if I say I meant it before? That I stayed because I wanted to? Her light flickered like startled heartbeat. Then you have already completed the ritual. Before he could answer, alarms erupted overhead, sharp metallic tones slicing the quiet. The AI's voice turned businesslike. Unscheduled energy surge detected in bonding chamber. Recommend containment. Ryan threw up his hands. What now? Lyra glanced around, eyes narrowing. Our emotional synchronization is feeding the ship's energy matrix. He stared. We're powering the engines with awkward tension? In essence, he laughed despite himself. Figures. My love life finally useful for something. The vibration intensified until the floor hummed beneath their feet. Lyra reached out instinctively, fingers brushing his wrist, and the noise abruptly died. A faint shimmer danced between their hands, a thread of light binding skin to crystal. See? She whispered. Aligned. He looked at their joined hands, at the absurd beauty of it. You know, for a diplomatic disaster, this feels kind of right. Her glow brightened. Then say so, human. He met her gaze, all humor momentarily gone. Fine, I'll say it. I'm not running. Not from you. The ship's AI, irrepressible as ever, recorded the declaration. Verbal confirmation of union received. Lyra exhaled a soft laugh. You realize that statement just finalized it? Of course it did, he said, grinning helplessly. Story of my life, accidentally honest. She studied him for a long heartbeat. Then perhaps honesty is your species' most dangerous weapon. Only when pointed at the wrong target. The hum around them mellowed into quiet again. They stood there, two creatures from opposite worlds caught somewhere between comedy and connection, both aware that the line separating diplomacy from desire had just vanished completely. And though Ryan couldn't tell whether he was about to face court-martial or honeymoon arrangements, one thought refused to leave his mind. He hadn't misheard her invitation. He had simply underestimated what it would mean to say yes. Ryan exhaled slowly, as if releasing the tension that had been winding him up for hours. The ship hummed softly around them, the glow from Lyra's skin dimming into a gentle radiance that made every reflective surface seem like liquid silver. He looked at her, this impossibly alien woman who had managed to turn a simple diplomatic assignment into a full-blown emotional circus. So, that's it? He asked, voice still a little shaky. We just stay here, glowing, holding hands and pretending we're not panicking internally. Lyra tilted her head, the faint ripples of light along her spine forming patterns that looked like laughter, though he wasn't sure if she was amused or just translating curiosity into something humans might recognize. You misunderstand. We are not pretending. We are observing. You have chosen to remain, and that choice carries meaning. He groaned. Meaning? Meaning is exactly what I'm trying to avoid, Lyra. It's terrifying. Her eyes softened in a way that seemed impossible for someone made of crystal and light. Terrifying, yes, but necessary. Vulnerability is the path to connection. Ryan pinched the bridge of his nose. He had half a mind to sprint back to his quarters, pack a bag, and declare this entire exchange null and void. But the honesty in her tone grounded him. All right, he said, voice low. Let's assume vulnerability is a good thing. Then what? Lyra stepped closer, letting her glowing fingers brush against the back of his hand just enough to send a ripple of energy up his arm. The AI's sensors pinged softly, logging every micro-emotion, every pulse of light, every spike in heart rate. Then, she said carefully, we proceed to full honesty. Words, thoughts, feelings. No armor of pretense, Ryan blinked. No, literal armor, I get. But emotional armor too? Yes. Her glow intensified for a brief moment. It is expected. Failure is educational. He swallowed and tried to keep his humor intact even if his insides were tangled like poorly wired circuits. Okay, here's honesty. You're beautiful, intimidating, and confusing as hell. But I've stayed. So there's that. Lyra's lips curved, a slow, deliberate smile. Your statement is recorded. Assessment acceptable. He couldn't stop himself from laughing. Assessment acceptable, really? After everything, we're still doing bureaucratic commentary? Her amusement was unmistakable now. Humans enjoy excess emotion and erratic speech. It is entertaining. Ryan leaned back slightly, studying her carefully. So hypothetically, if I said that I wanted to stay not because of the ritual or the elders or the glowing lights, but because I like being around you, that wouldn't break any more laws, right? Lyra tilted her head, her eyes reflecting all the shimmering colors of the chamber. That would be logical, affirmative, emotionally coherent. Good. he said, relief flooding him. Because honestly, this whole bonding ritual thing, it's ridiculous. But it's also kind of amazing. In a terrifying way, she studied him for a long moment. Then human, perhaps we should conclude the ritual. He blinked. Conclude? How? We're already, you are aligned in truth. That is sufficient. Now we can choose whether alignment leads to further exploration. Ryan raised an eyebrow and her glow flickered in response like a laugh without sound. Exploration, huh? Are we talking star charts or? She chuckled softly, the crystalline sound reverberating gently. Both, but also emotional mapping. He groaned and rubbed his temples. Of course. I should have known a diplomatic exchange would involve emotional cartography. Remind me never to schedule a second one. Her smile softened into something that might have been shy if humans could read alien expressions. You are humorous, Ryan, and cautious, and yet you remain. Because if I leave now, I'd regret it, he admitted. Even if the entire Velthari Council thinks I'm some kind of traitor to my own species by sitting here. Lyra's glow dimmed further, pulsing like a heartbeat. Then perhaps your presence is more valuable than ritual alone. Ryan's chest tightened at the sincerity. He had been expecting alien politics, glowing armor, and awkward double entendres, but not this. A moment of honesty that cut through the absurdity. And your presence, he said quietly, is worth staying for as well. Even if it terrifies the hell out of me. She tilted her head, her lips curling in a slow, amused grin. Fear is a common companion to humans in close contact. Observation, you are adapting well. Adapting, he repeated, laughing nervously, is one word for nearly fainting in front of a glowing alien princess while your heart tries to escape your chest. Her laughter rippled across the chamber again. I detect humor, fear, and trust. You are learning fast. Ryan pinched the bridge of his nose. Learning fast? I'm pretty sure I'm failing at every category except survival. Survival is valued. And what about emotional survival? Social survival? Career survival? Lyra considered him seriously, then tilted her head in a gesture he recognized as patience. All survive if you continue in honesty. He exhaled, realizing that honesty might indeed be the only strategy left. Fine, honest then. I stayed because I wanted to. I don't fully understand everything you're doing or why it has to be this lit up, high stakes, embarrassing, ritualized nightmare. But I stayed anyway. Because sometimes curiosity and common sense are terrible companions, but they make life better. Her glow brightened, a soft cascade across her shoulders, arms, and back. And I remained, she said, almost whispering, because you did. That is reciprocity. Ryan's chest tightened. Reciprocity, huh? Sounds like a banking term, not a relationship term. You misunderstand, she said with the tiniest smile. It is giving back what is received. And sometimes, more than expected. He blinked at her, suddenly very aware of how literal and figurative that statement could be. More than expected, he echoed, a small grin tugging at his lips. Her glow softened into a gentle pulse, warm and inviting. Then human, let us end the ritual, together, in truth, without pretense. Whatever that means to your species. He swallowed and nodded, stepping closer. It means being brave enough to stay, to say things honestly, and maybe, just maybe, to admit that this us is kind of incredible. A ripple of light shimmered across her skin. Then we are aligned. Emotionally, physically, diplomatically. Ryan laughed, shaking his head. Aligned? We're not filing a spaceship insurance claim. But sure, I'll take it. She reached out, brushing his hand lightly again. Then let us continue. As equals. Friends. Allies. Explorers. And idiots. He added automatically, earning a soft, melodic chuckle. Yes, she agreed. Idiots who survived honesty. Ryan looked at her, then at the pulsing glow that reflected off the polished floor, and finally back at her face. Well, he said slowly, then I guess we're stuck with each other. Her lips curved, a private, radiant smile. Stuck, she repeated. And I am pleased. He laughed, exhaling the tension he hadn't realized he'd been holding. Pleased, he echoed. Me too. Though I still might need a drink afterward. Or 5? Lyra's glow flickered with humor. I can procure refreshments or spores if you wish. Ryan blinked. I think I'll stick with coffee this time. But thanks. And next time, she said softly, Perhaps the ritual will be less electrifying, he smiled, glancing down at their joined hands, the hum of the ship quiet around them, and realized for the first time in weeks that this assignment, this ridiculous, terrifying, glowing, honest assignment was one of the most human things he had ever experienced. And maybe, he added, voice low, next time you ask me to stay, I won't hesitate. Lyra's glow pulsed warmly in agreement, her laughter echoing softly, and in that moment the absurdity, the miscommunications, and the comedy of their universe-wide misunderstanding melted into something surprisingly perfect.